Have you ever thought to yourself, hey, I wonder if I can make the experience of Fear and Hunger 2 more painful? Well, I'm here to tell you, yes. The past 3 days, I have decided to channel my inner Mitten Squad, God rest his soul, and challenge myself to beat an already hard game in a very stupid way. On top of that, I'm not into using my feet, so I have zero dexterity in my feet. So I was super clumsy on several occasions and accidentally closed the game by hitting Alt F4. Not to mention, I decided for some reason to make it even harder on myself by playing as Olivia. So that means every time I got to some stairs, I had to press the C key to get out of my wheelchair, then climb up the stairs, and then press the C key again to get back in my wheelchair, which caused me several problems. The reason I wanted to play as Olivia is because I thought to myself, this isn't hard. It's not like I'm beating Elden Ring with a dance pad or something. But this was just super tedious. Not only the stipulation of playing as Olivia with my feet, but I also wanted to get the C ending, which means I only had 2 days to beat the game. And also, no, the irony is not lost to me that I am playing as Olivia with only using my feet. But anyway, if you don't mind, let's get started with this experience of beating Fear and Hunger 2 Termina with only my feet. And yes, obviously there's going to be a feet cam, so you can see I'm not faking any of it, so enjoy that. I started out just getting my bearings. I realized using my normal WASD was not really an option, as well as using the enter key was also kind of annoying. So I rolled with this for a while I was choosing who to play as. Around this time, I realized my camera was backwards, so I tried to flip it, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out how to do that. I spent through Olivia's backstory and I got all the skills I normally would. At this point, I was feeling on top of the world. I could easily beat this, but something I realized really fast as I was spamming through this, holding my feet at this angle above the enter key constantly started to hurt. Now, I work out most days, but I almost never work out my legs, let alone my ankles. So yada yada, first world problems, until I remembered I could use the spacebar to skip through the dialogue as well as activate things. So that became my left foot's job. And using the arrow keys were my right foot's job. The basics were down, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. After I finished creating my character, I had to move left to go through the train car. And this is when I realized just trying to hold left, I couldn't even really do that. I couldn't even just hold the left arrow. What hope would I have to beat the whole game while avoiding enemies if I couldn't even just hold the left arrow key? Either way, I continued, and surprisingly, I was a pro gamer at assembling cubes in this little part here. Other than that, I finished the tutorial and I made my way outside the train. As much as I just wanted to slaughter everyone here, because I was hopelessly unprepared, but I also have very stupid toes. So I couldn't even try it. But I know I couldn't do this alone, so I headed into Old Town and I tried some combat out with my feet. Although I did manage to beat some enemies, this was the first time I actually thought to myself, I really don't want to do this. Then almost immediately after I thought this, I accidentally managed to Alt F4 the game and lost all that progress. I took a break and continued a couple hours later. This time, I went left because after I thought about it, I am going for the C ending, but I need a Bella to have at least one party member to help me get through this, because there's almost no way I can dodge any enemies in the overworld, so I need to compensate with a lot of combat strength. So I made my way up to the bunker and did not only get a Bella in my party, but I found some bolt cutters, which is a super strong early game item as well as really lucky to get, as I can bypass getting any of the keys for the gates to the city, as I can just cut the chains off instead. Not wanting to lose my progress, I struggled my way up the stairs and advanced to day 1 evening. I then decided to go back down to the tunnel and kill Needles and have Tanaka killed, making it only 12 contestants left. I then headed into the big city and heavily struggled to avoid the bobbies. You can see my struggles to avoid them here with my toes. I went to go to the bookstore to try to find some important books like the God of Fear and Hunger Skin Bible, which somehow I did, giving me another free 6 save points. However, this would end up pissing me off later, because I thought I wouldn't need the Alll-Merr portals. But I should have thought about just how much extra movement this would cause me to use, because I really hated walking around with my feet, so I should have just used the Alll-Merr portals instead of, say, extra saves. But either way, after using the God of Fear and Hunger symbol, I tried to make my way to Preheval Bop, only to be stopped by a death mask. No matter what I did here, my movement was too impaired to outmaneuver him, so I ended up dying several times. Giving up, I made my way to the church to kill Osa as fast as possible, because I couldn't have Osa blocking my path throughout the rest of this playthrough because I didn't want him to tell me not to come any closer and then accidentally have a foot twitch, walk towards him, and then get blown up. So I went to the confessional and died. So I went back and got a lucky headshot the second time, making the number down to 11. I then went up to cut down the chandelier with my trusty bolt cutters that I got earlier, and decided to get the first effigy. But I didn't think I could kill Samira here, so I left her alone for the time being, and finally started to get the hang of using my feet, and did some crazy maneuvering around these Crimson Fathers and headed back up. I saved with the Fear and Hunger effigy and headed east. Only did I forget that the Death Mask was here, and I got scared by him. Despite this, however, my foot dexterity was good enough at this point to be able to get around him after several fights where I had to run away from him. Finally, I was free of the bastard, or so I thought. Only when I started making my way up to the club, I of course was stopped by the mob. And then, here, my feet failed me. After all of that, I could not outmaneuver the mob and had to restart. Again. After this, I had some unbelievably stupid lapse in judgment, and on my way back to the club, I saved in the bookstore for some reason, taking away one of my good saves. Now making it day 1 night. I think my line of thinking here was maybe that the death mask would despawn if I advanced the time, but no. Still there, so after doing all of that again, and the mob not spawning this time, I made my way to Pre-Evil Pop, finally. When I used another Fear and Hunger effigy, I then made my way north to try to kill both Levi and Gro-Goroth. But there was a large problem. This building, right here, some sick fuck decided it was a good idea to make this building diagonal. So you can't just use up and down, left and right. On the arrow keys, I have to use 2 of them at the same time. And if you know this building, if you climb it, there is a super good item, but only after a bunch of stairs. So not only did I have to press 2 arrow keys at once with my toes to maneuver, but every staircase I had to get off my wheelchair and then back on my wheelchair when I finished. I eventually said fuck it and just didn't even get back in my wheelchair and just climbed up really slowly. Just what a nightmare this building is for this run in particular. I then decided to head back down real quick for some reason and ran into a sew job. Unlucky for me, however, the sew job then fragged Olivia, restarting my run again. So then I had to go back to this building, get the ring at the top of the building again, this time going back to save just to be sure I didn't have to do that again, making it day 2 morning. I continued on my massacre and made my way through the building, again, to find August, only for him to headshot me with a 25% chance, instantly killing me. Guess who gets to walk back through the diagonal building again? This time, making it to August and killing him, bringing the count down to 10. Then I made my way south to find Karen, who, guess what? Killed her too. I then found Gro-Goroth, let Gro-Goroth kill Levi, and then I killed Gro-Goroth for hunting the poor boy, making the contestants 8. I then found the apartment building to save, and masterfully somehow put down a bear trap and killed a half cocoon man after trapping and killing him, and then I saved again, making it day 2 evening. I then realized I couldn't continue because of that death mask in the center of town, and I didn't have those Alll-Merr portals like I talked about. So I made my way all the way through the forest and back down to the train. I then went north to try to recruit my Rena at the mayor's house, where I did, but I made a very stupid fatal mistake, and I forgot to kill the dark priest in the house. And then when I tried to save, I was attacked, lost a coin flip, and insta-killed me, making me restart again. This time, after making my way all the way down through Old Town again, I went north instead here to kill Pav and Marco, making it only 6 left. I then went back to the mayor's house to get my Rena, this time not making the stupid mistake of forgetting to kill the dark priest. However, I got really lucky and found a Book of Enlightenment here, giving me a free save point. We then killed the mayor, making it only 5. I then went north to get Dan and get the 2 other effigies. I got them as well as picked up Dan. We managed to get around the death mask and got to the basement of the church again to kill Samira. Along the way somewhere, Marina died, and I don't know where that footage is, making the count 3. Just us 3 in the party. So I just had to try to get my team killed after we killed Sergal. But Sergal saved me some time and killed Dan for me. I then thought about it, and I thought to myself, I really want the meat grinder for the Percola fight. So I went out of my way to get the steel skill, and then for all of Abella's hard work in my party, I stole from her and killed her, making it only me left. Then after I did all of this work to get the meat grinder, I forgot that Olivia can't even use it. So I'm glad I spent time doing that. I then saved for the final time, and then went to go kill Percola. I made my way to the tower and used some pep pills and heroin, only to realize I did it too early, and because of my feet not being fast enough, it didn't even stay activated for the fight. So I went in with 1 ghoul and 1 blood golem and died because I didn't have the meat grinder, or 2 turns in a row, making Percola schmeat me down. I then tried again and did it correctly this time. My strat here was, without the meat grinder, was to use those 2 turns to firstly hit him once, and then on my extra turn I used to summon the blood golem. Then on my second turn I used to put down a gasoline canister. My meat shield's doing exactly what they should be doing and soaking up all of Percola's damage. Then I hit the gasoline canister to burn him. I then barely managed to kill Percola, making us both die and making me descend into the sulfur pits, rebirthing me as a sulfur cultist. And also completing Fear and Hunger 2 with only my feet. This was a super challenging thing to do. If you have any more challenge run ideas like this, let me know and I might do it. If you have any more stupid challenge run ideas like this, please let me know and I might do it. However, next week it should be a lore video on all the tournament contestants. But until the next challenge or the next lore video, I love you and I'll see you next time.